Welcome to the Sports Show. My guest today is Christina Jansen, who in 1986 shot the great Muhammad Ali and lived to tell the tale. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How did you get the gig with Muhammad Ali?
I qualified as a photographer, and I was in London, and I was working on TV commercials, as stills photographer on TV commercials. And one day I just got the call saying, "Would you like to come and do the stills on this commercial?" So I had no idea actually it was Muhammad Ali. So I arrived in Fulham studio, and there he was. And somebody said, "Oh, well, go and sit with him and say hello." And I went, "Oh." But within a very short time, having been introduced to him, you know, he is so warm and friendly, and he treated everybody exactly the same way as, you know, everyone's equal. And before long, you felt very at ease with him, and I had lots of conversations, and he told me his philosophy of life and how Henry Cooper got him. Because he said he just took his eye off Henry for 2 seconds because he was eyeing up Elizabeth Taylor, who was sitting in the corner of the ring.
Right.
And funnily enough, not long after he told me that, I met Henry Cooper and relayed that story, but he'd heard it already.
Already?
Yes. Yeah.
So prior to the visit to the studio that day, you had no idea who you were going to shoot?
No. And of course, as a tiny tot, I remember watching Cassius Clay, as he was then was, and I was a massive fan. And as you can probably tell in that picture, I was a little bit overawed. But as I say, he was so friendly and so warm, you know, and charismatic and funny that, you know, it was fantastic. And I felt really lucky.
And is he the same off camera as he has been on camera throughout the duration of his career? Yes.
I think what I managed to get is because obviously most of the time he does put on a bit of a show. So I did catch him occasionally because I was in and out over a period of 2 weeks while we were shooting the commercial, where I would spot him where he was quiet and relaxed in a corner, and I took a couple of quite intimate shots where he was quite contemplative and, you know, not sort of staring at the camera as well. Actually, one of those photographs that I've brought today was used in Universal Pictures' a documentary film which recently came out called I Am Ali.
Yes.
And they used it because it's rare to catch him, that particular photograph, to show his sort of contemplative, quieter side as well.
In terms of his personality, what makes him the icon that he is today?
I think, well, I mean, one, it's all about him having that massive, amazing self-belief. He's educated himself. He's curious about people. I think, you know, that's why he treats everyone the same and loves human beings equally. He does have an extraordinary aura, but I think it's the motivational thing about believing in yourself and trying to get that across to other people. And, you know, take risks in life, push yourself a little further. I mean, his philosophy in life, which he told me after about the first day I was there, he said to me, "Christina," he said, "if you reach for the moon, you might end up next door. But if you reach for the stars, you might get to the moon." And I hang on to that all the time because it is having that a little bit more courage to take risks and just go that little bit further and not let people put you off. And if you do get knocked down, you get up, you know, and go for it. And that's what I've tried, in a way. Why I'm showing the pictures, and what I've done, is to try and get other people to pick up on that kind of positive thought and that self-belief, especially kids and so on as well.
So your talent landed you a dream role back in 1986.
Yeah, I wasn't so aware of it at the time. I was sort of a bit overawed, and obviously it was one of my first jobs I've ever done.
Yes, but what a job.
I know, but I have to say, I felt there was a lot of people around the commercial who clearly sort of making the most of using him and so on, and because of his fame, and I hadn't quite clocked into that.
Right.
You know, I didn't really appreciate how famous he was, if you like. mean, I know I've seen him boxing, but in terms of the whole world. And strangely, after I've delivered the pictures at the end of the commercial, I decided I hid them all, the one, and I only ever showed one. It's of him. I've got it somewhere here on the card. For many years, for about 20 odd years, no, I didn't show them. I didn't want to cash in on knowing him or anything, until a lady from a local gym where I live, who was doing a bit of a workout with me, she saw the one picture. She said, "Have you got any more?" And I said, "Yeah, well, yes, I think I do." And so I got the folder out, my drawer.
20 years later.
20 odd years later. And had a closer look. And for instance, the one with him behind the weights was on a tiny bit. I didn't really realize I had it. And part of the reason I hid them as well is because Ali was already a bit poorly in 1986 with Parkinson's syndrome. So he didn't look that great in some of the pictures. So I really only edited down my photos where he looked really good. And so this girl from this gym said, "Well, why don't we have an exhibition of your pictures in the gym, which is in North London, St John's Wood?" And I went, "Okay," but I wanted to do something positive myself for the world. So I thought, well, we'll try and raise money for Amnesty, which is, of course, he does a lot for. So that I'm giving back. I'm not just showing pictures of Ali, but by showing them, I could make some money. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. And so we had this exhibition in this gym in St John's Wood, and then the paparazzi turned up and stuff, and I had no idea how big an effect it would have. And then the people who printed up my picture, called Tapestry, printers, asked me if they could show my pictures in Soho, and they blew them up for me and showed them in the window in their gallery right in the centre of Soho. And that was my dream come true, having my pictures there and Ali.
On display.
On display
for the public
Soho.
to enjoy.
Yeah. And again, that was very popular. People loved the pictures. And then I realised that the Olympics were coming up, and it was going to be Ali's 70th birthday. And I thought it would be amazing to celebrate the biggest Olympian ever in the world at our Olympics in London, his 70th birthday. And I madly thought, I'll gather 70 images for his 70th, showing all the different aspects of his life, him as a papa, as a fighter, as a humanitarian, giving lectures at Harvard University. I mean, everything across the board of his whole life and his motivation.
Was that very difficult to put together?
Massively difficult because of all the politics and so on. And a lot of the work was abroad in America and so on. So I contacted all the various photographers and a few artists. But slowly but surely I got a wonderful range of amazing photographs. A lot of support from the photographers, and I did approach, of course, get permission from Ali Enterprises to do something like this, because they do protect his image, and then I'm all for that as well. So not to put up anything that was kind of negative, or if where he looked terrible or something. I'm not going to allow that. And they gave me permission to do this exhibition. And I asked if I could invite Muhammad Ali, but sadly they said no, he's not really well enough. And I felt fine. So through a fan of Ali's I met during the commercial, a wonderful man called Russ Routledge, who was a British telecom engineer from Newcastle. And he was such a huge fan. He raised money, wrote a letter to Ali, asking if he could come and visit him. To cut long story short, Ali phoned him up. This is
Wow.
And said yes. So Russ went over many years ago and arrived at Ali's house and knocked on the door, and there was no answer, and he thought, no, I've come all this way and he's not here. But then Ali apparently tapped to the window and said, come round the back. And Russ ended up staying for a couple of weeks in his house. And he took all this bits of footage as well, homemade film, which, thanks to me now, eventually ended up in the Universal movie, because I negotiated that they could use some of this.
And that is the movie titled I Am
Ali. And anyway, so I contacted Russ, the Olympics now cut to many years later. So that was 1986. I knew Russ, but I stayed in touch with him. And I phoned him up, and he gave me Rahman's details.
That's
Muhammad Ali's
brother,
who was also a boxer, who was there the day when Ali first decided or was a boxer. Because I don't know if you know this story, but he started boxing because one day he had his bike stolen, and he was wandering around in Illinois, in Louisville rather, looking for the chap who'd stolen his bike. But he came across this guy out in the street saying, "Well, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And Ali said, "Oh, I'm looking for this man who's stolen my bike, and I'm going to whoop him." And this chap said, "No, well, if you're really going to do that, you come with me and Rach, you know, the two of you," and took him into a boxing gym, and that's when it started.
And that's where the legend began.
Yes, yeah, and Rahman was also a fantastic boxer, not as good as his brother. They were on the same. What do you call it? You know, then you're boxing the same
on the same
night.
bill. Yeah,
same bill. To begin with. Anyway, then Rach backed down and then ended up his whole life at Ali's side, training, you know, and there for him. He went to the Deer Park, the training camp with him. There's pictures all over the place. Anyway, bless his heart, I rang Rach up, and he agreed to come over. So I flew him over, and I put him up in the near me so I could keep an eye on them. He came over with his wife because sadly Rahman has slight short-term memory loss.
Yes.
I think again possibly from the boxing, I'm not sure. So his lovely wife makes him feel secure. So I brought Caroline over with him. And he was beautiful. And he opened the show that I put together for the Olympics. And I found there's an amazing gallery that overlooked the Olympic Stadium.
Yes, I actually visited as well.
Yeah, did you?
I met you there very briefly. You wouldn't remember me. I absolutely loved it.
I was so busy.
And I saw it for myself. But I also met Michael Watson there on the day as well.
Well, the reason that you met Michael Watson is because I decided not to forget about the Paralympics, because you got the Olympics. So we had Rahman, bless him, he opened the beginning. Mm-hmm. We had music, and we've also had this outreach program. That I contacted an incredible guy, Oliver Wilson, from Guildford, who had a boxing club, and I got a backing from the Dutch embassy because I'm Dutch.
Yes.
And they brought over some Dutch boxers, and you know, I'm still busy with that today. I'm going to try and continue this outreach program to help kids get off the street and do non-contact boxing to get rid of their pent-up energy and, you know, get some respect for themselves and for other people back. And Oliver is brilliant at that. Anyway, but I also knew we had the Paralympics, and we got in touch with Michael Watson to open that night,
which was amazing, and it was very inspiring having him there that evening as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, sadly he wasn't very well, but he wasn't as bad as we feared, and he had a fantastic time, and he really enjoyed himself.
It was memorable for everybody there,
and he loved the show, and it was very emotional, very emotional.
Going back to Rahman and Ali, apart from their brute strength in the ring and their class within it, they're also very artistic brothers as well. So I believe Ali himself was a poet and Rahman is a painter.
Yes, he does, and I showed some of Rahman's paintings in the show, and I've actually now sold quite a few of them. Bless him. So he's done paintings of his mother with Ali, and even Henry Cooper, I think, with Ali is one I've sold. Yes, he adores. I'm actually asking him to do some more so I can help show some and help him, you know, sell some. And of course Ali is amazing with all his motivational quotes and poems, and he's even, you know, did you know that Muhammad has recorded an album, a singing?
I had no idea.
Yeah, the greatest. He sings. There's nothing that he can't do.
There's absolutely nothing.
Or have a go at.
Or have a go at. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Having this wonderful opportunity in 1986, the world we have today is very, very different. You know, we have a culture now where celebrities or sporting stars, they're mobbed and embraced by fans, and there's a selfie culture there. and photography plays a huge part. Now, for people who are looking to follow in your footsteps, what would you say to somebody in terms of giving them advice?
Well, in photography,
Yes.
well, first you've got to love it. My advice, I didn't go this path because I studied art and drama. My father was a photojournalist in Holland and actually didn't want to be a photographer at all. But I got disillusioned with the art and everything. I started doing photo silkscreen and photo etching. So I went the route of kind of art and then taught myself photography mostly. And then my first job was actually photographing the pre-1920s buildings in Stoke-on-Trent.
Right.
And I remember walking down the canal thinking, I'm shooting, this beautiful environment, thinking, my gosh, I'm doing this and I'm getting paid for it. This is amazing. But today I think, there are courses you can go and do which are brilliant. But if I had known all those years ago, I would assist some top photographers because that's a really good way of learning, how they work and how they set up and so forth, and also just how to make money at it. It's so tough in terms of what you charge for this, that, and the other, what the value and so on. And a lot of the time, people still, it's a bit like musicians, they expect photographers to do it for free.
It's cutthroat business.
Yeah, and now with mobile phones, etc., people think they can all do it themselves. But no, I was in a TV series called The Photo Show, which is about photography, and I actually did a little program on how to photograph your pets with Lisa Goddard, and again, it just in it I advise people, how to get the best performance out of the dog and all the rest of it. But I also sat at the table with Lisa. A lot of photography is to do about the word now, how you crop it. So it's very important. It can make a good, bad photo become very good. You get rid of all sorts of unnecessary stuff around. So I was showing her how to improve her pictures in terms of how it's cropped.
Do you have a favourite Dutch football team?
Yes. Well, why do you ask that?
Because I know you're a football fan.
Yeah, Ajax. I was born next to the Ajax football stadium many years ago.
Okay. I hope to visit this
but
year.
my mother's from Liverpool, so I support Liverpool too. But
we all knew
don't tell anyone.
You had the very best taste. Football royalty.
Yeah. Well, actually, that brings me to... I've got... I'm showing my photographs right now at the Chelsea Football Club. So don't tell Chelsea people that I've...
I will be on the blower as soon as we finish this interview, just to let them know.
So you can see my photographs of Ali there right now, but also I'm showing pictures taken by a fantastic photographer called Chris Smith, who photographed Ali with the Beatles. There's a stunning shot of he's got, and also many other beautiful pictures he's taken. And they've used Chris Smith's picture on the poster for I Am Ali, so I felt it appropriate, because I've got a poster up showing that. My pictures are in the movie. And I've also got a triptych painting by a fantastic artist called Chris Gollan that's hanging there at the moment. And I may introduce a few more of my photographers from the curated show from the Olympics. And of course, right now, there's a wonderful celebration of Ali's life and everything he's achieved at our magnificent O2 Centre. There aren't works for sale as such, but it's due through a writer called Davis Miller who's written these fantastic books. He's worked together with Ali's wife Lonnie and so on, and put this beautiful kind of story together. And I'm in negotiation maybe to do something alongside it at some point. But it is worth a visit there as well. Incredible.
For the benefit of our viewers, could you just briefly explain what is I Am Ali?
The movie is probably one of the most. I think it's the closest you get to seeing the Ali, the man, as in terms of as a father, as a husband. All his humanitarian work, you get a really brilliant insight. There's lots of interviews with people that are close to him, including his Jean Kilroy, that was with him many years, a few photographers, other boxers, interviews with his son and his daughters, some incredible footage that people have never seen before. It's stunning and it's well worth a look. You learn a lot about him, and not just the boxer. So it's his whole life.
So apart from fixing your car battery,
yes,
what are your future plans?
Well, I do an awful lot of portraits and other work, so I'm working on exhibitions of that. I've just recently had the fortune to photograph Robert Plant and Jon Snow, the Channel 4 presenter. I've just photographed Dame Joan Bakewell, who's a wonderful lady. I'm about to photograph Andrew Marr, Mary Portas, and a few other people. Work a lot in the music industry, doing album covers. And I work in the corporate world, and yes, I've been offered an exhibition in Metropolis Studios, and another one where I live in near Camden. A lot of good work coming my way, and I really love taking portraits and bringing out the best in people and really showing their character.
Do you think there will be an iconic figure as Ali ever again?
It's a really tough one, isn't it? I don't think so. I think maybe because of the world's change with modern technology and so forth, that because he travelled everywhere, I think, and met so many people, and his motivation, I think his message, and the times he went through. I mean, him standing up against the American government and, you know, refusing to go to war and so forth. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, the Mandelas and the people of this world also, I think, in my eye, are up there. But I don't know if there's any future ones at the moment, but you never know. There might be.
There you have it, a truly amazing insight and perspective into the life of the great Muhammad Ali. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed interviewing Christina. Thank you for watching The Sports Show.